Okay, so it's Sam. I'm here in India, where it's hot, doing this new moon Capricorn update for members. And you see my screen here, computer screen, so you can also see Sun and Moon come together here in early Capricorn. And this is going to start this Capricorn cycle for all of us, and a lot of things also really kind of shifting right now as this begins. You see Mars just went into Scorpio. Mars had been in Libra for a couple months, and of course Venus is also in Capricorn as well. It's still pretty combust. It's still pretty close to the Sun. It's behind the Sun. So I've done recent videos on those things. If you're not a member, subscriber to my YouTube channel or anything like that, you should be. You shouldn't wait for me to just update this all the time in order to stay updated. So this is also showing some, sensitivity and touchiness and frustration with others and things like that, and maybe relationships and other situations. Saturn and Mercury are still also pretty close together. Mercury is past Saturn now, but when they come together, it can sort of make us insecure about what we communicate, and so maybe you haven't felt like your voice is very clear lately, and you're still trying to sort of grapple with that. So these are some things in the backdrop, sort of backdrops. Again, the Sun is also getting close to Ketu, which means we're getting close to the eclipses. So we're going to have a lunar eclipse. The next full moon is a lunar eclipse that happens in Cancer. If we go forward. This next full moon, here, is an eclipse. As you see, the Sun will be about 17. This full moon here is an eclipse, which will be January 30th. Maybe 31st, depending on where you live in the world. And so we're in that sort of feeling eclipsed nature right now, with the Sun now joined Ketu and the eclipse points lining up. That's also there. And so it's bringing out this sort of Cancer-Capricorn eclipse cycle, which I'll obviously talk more about, but I did an update back in the summer, a whole thing on the nodes moving into Cancer and Capricorn. So it's very much bringing into contrast this emotional openness, which is the Rahu in Cancer, and the need for good boundaries and foundation and structure, which is Ketu in Capricorn. So one of the big themes of the next year or so has to do with having strong boundaries that support openness and spiritual truth, and those qualities of Cancer, which are about integrating everything into the heart. We need good boundaries before we can do that. I recently did an update where I talked about, even my guru Amma talks about boundaries, and how even she doesn't trust everyone like as individuals, because if she trusts everyone too quickly, then she has to sort of take responsibility away from them and then hurt their feelings, and other things get disrupted. So even though she loves everyone and is open, loving and open to everyone doesn't mean trusting everyone with everything they want, which is what the bigger point is. People who want more from you. Maybe you don't want to give more. Maybe you have to have a boundary. And it can be painful. It's painful to us in the Cancer part of life, which is the moon, Cancer flowing selfless love part, because we want to selflessly love everything. But then there's pain involved with that. So these are big themes right now as we go into this member forecast for all 12 signs. This is the backdrop. Oh, and by the way, the nakshatra is Uttara Ashada, which means later victory. And it's the later victories that come from things like honoring what are called the Vishwadevas, or the universal gods of time, and Kala, Karma, Dharma, Kama, which means time, action, truth, desire. Having all those things aligned in us guarantees our victories. And when we're congruent around those principles, then our victory is assured. And in those areas where we are congruent, we prevail over our adversaries. So this is a really important concept for the next 30 days, is to be congruent and aligned around what you really want in your life on a large scale, how you really want to succeed, and those things that you are willing to sacrifice for and work hard for. And again, you'll notice how your victories in those areas of life, and in all areas of life, are in some ways guaranteed in relation to or commensurate to how much you are focused and willing to persevere and commit in these ways. So when someone really wants to, let's say, have a family, then their desire is to have a family. They put the time into having a family. It's aligned with their true nature, for example. And they work at it over and over again. Well, let's say they just have this desire in their mind, or this idea that they want to have a child, let's say just a desire, but they don't really put the time into it, which is Kala, and it's not really congruent with their higher purpose, which is Dharma. And so consequently, the actions they take aren't really so focused on that. It's just the desire they have, which is Kama, but the Kama doesn't really line up with the Karma, which is the action, or the Dharma, which is the true nature of who they are, or the Kala, which is the time. For instance, the timing isn't right. Like, let's say the timing isn't right with another person. Then those things don't manifest. So this is really what Vishwadevas are about, the universal gods. It's the nakshatra between Sagittarius and Capricorn. Of course, this is purely sidereal zodiac. That's what we use in Vedic astrology, just making that point very clear. Where the inspirations and hopes of Sagittarius becomes the commitments and focus and eventual accomplishment and tangible real-world accomplishment of Capricorn. It's that nakshatra, Uttara Ashada. Vishwadevas are the universal principles that need to align if we're to take those things that inspire us and turn them into great, enduring structures in our life, which is Capricorn, right? So now I'll do the forecast for each of the 12 signs